Bran and Branwen. Long time ago, on the cliffs of Harlech, stood Bentigad Vran, Bran the Blessed, king over the island of the mighty. And as he stood standing over the white cliffs of Harlech, he saw in the distance 13 great sailing ships, their men, with their shields upraised in tokens of peace. And in the lead ship was Matholwch, the king of all of Ireland, and he had come to ask King Bran for his sister's, Branwen's, hand in marriage. Branwen was greatly happy about this, and he said to Matholwch,
Yes, it is good. It is good. We shall have the wedding on the Isle of Anglesey.
and so they held the wedding on the Isle of Anglesey, under many great silken tents, because King Bran was so mighty a man that no house could contain him. So King Bran married his sister Branwen to Matholwch. But King Bran's brother, Efnisien, who was always full of mad tricks and hot temper, he had not been informed of his sister's wedding. So, when chancing upon the Irishmen's horses, Efnisien drew his sword. This will show them, he thought to himself, and he slashed the Irishmen's horses from head to tail, so as to cause trouble. When King Matholwch found out about this, he was enraged. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this, King Bran. How dare you? This is an outrage that your brother would do this to me.
I know. It is grievous to me too.
So, in order to placate Matholwch, King Bran said,
Very well. I shall replace all your wounded horses with healthy ones. Furthermore, I will give you a great cauldron of rebirth. Throw your wounded dead warriors into it, and they shall come back whole and hale on the morrow.
So Matholwch was happy about this, and so he returned to Ireland with his gifts and with his wife. And for a year all was well, and a son, named Gwern, was born to the couple. But in the following year, word began to spread about Efnisian's villainy, that Matholwch was laughed at behind his back and derided to his face. Fearing the ridicule of his court, Matholwch revenged himself on his wife. You shall work in the kitchens for what your brother Efnisian did to me. So he forced her to work in the kitchens, and he ordered the cook to box her ears every day. So Branwen had to work in the kitchens, and in secret she reared a starling, and she taught the starling to recognize her brother, Bran. Here, little starling, here. And she wrote a letter, and she fashioned it under the starling's wing, and she sent the starling flying back towards Britain. Finally, the bird arrived at Caernarvon in Britain, in Wales, and the starling found King Bran.
What is this, little bird? You have a message for me? Let me see.
And so he takes out the letter, he reads it.
This is an outrage. How could he do such a thing to my sister, his wife? He will pay for this.
And so King Bran raised an army of many men and a great fleet of ships, and he set sail across to Ireland. But not King Bran, for he was so mighty a man that he just waded across the sea. When they reached Ireland, Matholwch and his men saw them coming, and so Matholwch and his men retreated across the bridge, across the river Llŷn. burning the bridge behind them. But King Bran said,
"Let he who leads be a bridge."
and so King Bran laid himself down across the river and let his men go across him. And so the Irishmen, seeing this, hatched a plan. And so Matholwch sent a message. The message said, "We shall invest your nephew, Gwern, in your presence, with the sovereignty of all Ireland. And especially for the occasion, we shall build a great stone hall, which until now no house can contain you, but now one shall." And so this pleased King Bran mightily. And so the great stone house was built. But in secret Matholwch thought up a plan of trickery. Ah, yes. So Matholwch decided that he would hide an assassin in 100 sacks on the pillars in the great hall. So when King Bran first entered, the assassins would jump out. But lucky for King Bran, Efnisien was the first to enter the hall. "Ah, what is this?" But Efnisien knew that old trick. He saw the sacks and he went to the sacks. "Ah, you won't escape me!" And he squeezes each one to death. After that was over, the Welshmen with King Bran entered into the hall, and they took their sides respectfully, the Irish on one side and the Welsh on the other. And so out came Gwern to meet his relatives, but he was slow to greet his uncle Efnisien, whose warm blood had not been cooled by the long journey. So Efnisien was outraged, and he grabbed his young nephew Gwern. "You impudent boy, you spawn of a bastard Irish king!" And he raises Gwern up over his head and throws him into the fire. Seeing this, both sides draw their swords and they engage in battle. And the battle pursued, endlessly, Irishmen killing Welshmen, until the Irishmen started to take out a great large cauldron and put wood underneath it and light it a fire. And so they would put their dead bodies in it, and their dead would arise whole and hale again. So Efnisien, seeing this, felt great remorse. "What have I done? What have I done?" And so he decided to play his last trick. Efnisien laid himself down among the dead bodies of the Irishmen, so that he himself was thrown into the great pot. As soon as he was put into the pot, he stretched out his body. The cauldron pot burst asunder, and his heart burst open. After the battle was over, only Branwen and 7 hale men returned to Wales, including her brother Manawydan and his friend Pwylch, Pryderi, the son of Pwylch, lord of the 7 regions of Dyfed. But Branwen broke her heart in despair, and she was buried under a standing stone on the Isle of Anglesey, along the banks of the Amman Allaw. And so back on the battlefield, King Bran was wounded during the battle by a poisoned spear in his foot. And he said to his attendants,
"It is not long for me now. Cut off my head and bury it under the White Mount of London, facing towards France. While it lies there, no one will ever invade Britain from across the sea."
and that is why birds are kept today at the Tower of London, in accordance with a prophecy of King Bran. For without them, the White Tower and the British monarchy will fail.